Okay, World in Flames Deluxe. This is a collector's edition. This version came out about a year and a half, 2 years ago. I'm going to say closer to 2 years ago. Originally, I was on the Kickstarter and I got it. Had to unfortunately sell it about a year ago. I didn't have to. The deal was I wanted to order a large order of AB Napoleonics, and at the time I had, for some reason or another, decided it was a good idea to go ahead and sell this and pay for my miniature habit. And now, being in quarantine, I was sitting here thinking I would start watching Callendale videos again, and a couple of his older ones, because of Carrier, and I'll get to that here in just a moment. But and I came across again a full series that I had watched before from him on World in Flames, and that just totally reignited my interest in it again. And I played the final edition, which is the version before this. I played it twice with a group. That's the only time I've ever played it, and I enjoyed it tremendously. But this collector's edition has a lot more things in it that really perked my interest up a lot more, which is the mounted maps, new and redone counters. The counters are just gorgeous. We'll get to those here in a little bit. And there's some other things that really drew me to this edition, and basically I made up my mind, yes, I do want to have this game. And like I said, I don't know why I sold it to begin with. So anyway, I recently ordered it again, and it came last night. Yes, it came last night. Sorry, my days have been all merged into one, as I'm sure many other you have been having the same issues during the quarantine. But anyway, so it came last night, and I just wanted to set out the maps themselves to show you what kind of size game we're looking at here. And also I wanted to basically show you what's in the box, some of the counters, tell you a little bit about the game. We're not going to go into too much detail here. This is just kind of a preview of what I'm going to probably be doing in about 3 months from now. Right now, I do have, like I said, I have Carrier on my table, which I had to shove off to the side for a minute, fold up the map and stuff, which is what I'm currently playing. It's an upgraded version with brand new map, brand new counters, and I've already started doing several videos on those. I haven't posted any of them yet, but I will here very shortly. So I'm doing Carrier right now, and after that I'm going to be doing a new remake of an old classic. It's War and Peace. It's a Napoleonic grand strategy game, and that one is by One Small Step Games. So Carrier, and then War and Peace, and then after War and Peace I'll probably get to World in Flames, and I'll do some videos on World in Flames. So basically, like you can see here, here's the map. And it starts off, and some people, put them on different tables or whatever. I may end up doing that. I may rearrange the table so there's not overhang here. I haven't decided. But anyway, this is two 6-foot by 3-foot tables put together. So it's total of 12 feet. And you can see there's maybe 2.5 feet left over on this side, and about the same, about 2 feet left over on this side. So, take off about 4.5 feet. So we're looking at probably 8.5 feet total map length when you combine these two. And these are just the Europe map and the Asia map. Then we have the combined at a different scale. It's America and South America map. And then we have our production tracker right here. And this also has some other things to keep track of on this as well, but we won't get into too much detail on that as of right now. We'll save that for another time. But you can get full-size maps for South America and North America. They come with, you can either buy them separately on ADG's website, or you can get two other games which you can combine with this, and that is America in Flames and Patton in Flames. America in Flames is the German invasion of America, and if the Germans absolutely, which doesn't frequently happen, but it can happen, it's never happened in one of the games I've played, but if the Germans are absolutely steamrolling everybody and somehow get on a gigantic roll, then you can go ahead and proceed with the invasion of America. And the invasion of America can be done on this map, but it's just a lot better if you got a full-size American map, to do that invasion with. So that's one option. The other thing is Patton in Flames, like I said, which is after World War II. If you want to continue on, it's a hypothetical war, just like the German invasion of America, but it's basically after World War II ends, and the United States goes and the Allies go to war with Russia. And so, it's called Patton in Flames, and Patton basically, leads the charge into Russia. So that's the other game. There is a third game which can be combined with this, which is probably the most popular one to combine. And I used to have it, but I sold it when I sold my first copy of this, which was Days of Decision. The current version is 3. A lot of people call it DoD 3. And that lets you start off before World War II breaks out. So that will allow you to play through the politics of the 30s and perhaps change a lot of different things about the war when it does start. It might change this. It might make it start earlier, might make it start later. You're going to negotiate, a whole bunch of different treaties that took place during that time. The naval treaty that limited the production of naval units, a whole lot of different things and aspects there. And it also allows you to pull, countries into different political spheres. For instance, I've seen the Netherlands get pulled into the communist side of things. So that just gives you an example of what DoD allows you to achieve by using that. So it takes a sandbox World War II game and it turns it into a giant sandbox World War II game. I wouldn't say is as much of a sandbox as, let's say, Absolute Victory. For those of you who are familiar with Absolute Victory, that one has something like 2,000 to 3,000 random events that can take place at any given time, from Hitler being assassinated to a civil war breaking out in the United States during World War II. So, Absolute Victory is a completely random ahistorical sandbox, whereas World in Flames, you kind of got a counter slider there of how crazy you want it to get, or do you want it to somehow maintain somewhat of a historical path, or do you want it to go off the rails? So you kind of have options there with World in Flames about just how crazy you want things to get. Some of the counters, we can go ahead and look at what actually comes in the box. I'm actually going to set this camera down here so that way I can focus on exactly what I'm showing you. Move this out of the way. So we do have all this is included in the game here, and this is, once again, this is the deluxe collector's edition. So you can get the classic game, the classic collector's edition, if you just want to start off with a base game and you don't want to add all these things into it. Then you can go ahead and just basically get a classic game without the expansions. The deluxe set comes with the base expansions, pretty much everything that's available for the collector's edition at this current time. There's only one exception, which we'll talk about that in just a moment. But this is the cover sheet for the map set when you break the shrink on the hard-mounted maps. But there is a terrain effects chart on the back of it, and it tells you all the effects of all the different terrain, whether it's movement or combat related, whatever it may be. So we'll talk about these expansions in just a moment. This is the Worlds in Flame Collector's Edition Classic Counter Set. So these are all the counters in the base game here that we're looking at. I'm not sure the exact count of counters here in the base game. I was looking for a number. Here we go. It actually has 1,600 full color counters representing the armies, navies, and air forces of World War II. So there's a total of 1,600 counters, it looks like, in just the base game. And I was hoping to be able to see some close-ups of counters here, but it doesn't look like we're going to be able to see a lot of detail without breaking the shrink on these, and I'll do that on another time. But the basic unit size in the classic game is going to be like the core size and then going up to the army size. So your standard level of operation in this game is a corps. You can go down to divisions, which we'll talk about here in just a moment. But let me show you the rule book first. It's a pretty hefty rule book, as you can see. So it can have a steep learning curve, but this game is on, I think it's 6th or 7th edition now, this collector's edition. I'm not sure exactly what number it is, but this game has been around since the early 80s. So it's had plenty of time to be refined, to be play tested, to be criticized and critiqued, and it really has evolved into, a very, very playable game, unlike, some of their other games that they've put out that are in their first or second edition. So, this game has been out for a while, and you have different levels of play. You can start off with just the basic classic rules without using oil or very complicated mechanics or details. So you can keep the game pretty simple to where it's not really that much, it's actually not more complicated than your average war game. You can keep it simple. Or you can get really, really detailed to where you're tracking just an immense amount of information, convoy points, oil, you can build up oil reserves, your build and production points of your factories can be held in reserve. So there's just a lot of different things that you can do with the level of game that you want to play and when it comes to World in Flames. Now, the main expansions that this game does come with, the deluxe expansion, it comes with Ships in Flames, which is going to add a whole lot of ships, but also it's going to allow you to take them down into a smaller detail, which means individual ships instead of counters that represent multiple ships. And then you have Division in Flames, and this will allow you to produce and build divisions in your game. So, the Marine divisions, SS divisions, stuff like that. So it takes the level of your operational level down another notch into the divisional level. And there's different rules for divisions, and they have different rules for stacking when they're joining corps, etc. So it gives you some good options there by allowing you to use divisions. And then we have Planes in Flames, which adds even more planes, and basically the same thing as the Ships in Flames. It takes it down to a whole nother level. And Divisions in Flames takes that down to another level. And then you have Territories in Flames, which is going to include a whole bunch of different stuff from warlords, city volunteers, all over the world and country. These smaller things, a lot of people don't realize that we're involved in conflicts. Ethiopia, obscure places like that are going to be brought into the game. So that's pretty much as much of a rundown as I want to give you here. We've already, this, like I said, this helps you keep track of productions, and you're building and recruiting your new units. You have these C zones, so you don't use hex movement in the C zones, you use these C boxes, and that will determine the effectiveness of your navy or your fleet that you have in that location. 0 being basically going from point A to point B all the way up to 4, which means you have full operational capabilities in the entire C zone. So We can take a look at the map here at a closer look. Let me see if I can get this focus to go in. So you can see the mountains, the cities, the factories are these black and red production points and resources, forest, rail lines. So there is just a tremendous amount of detail on this map. It really is a beautiful looking map in person and on camera, I might say. It does look pretty good on camera. So you can see over here we have the UK and the Western European area, the Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, Austria, Hungary, and so on, Czechoslovakia, Poland, and Sweden up there. And so North Africa is kind of abstract here. Well, not North Africa. North Africa is on here in detail. You can see from basically all the way over to Saudi Arabia in the Middle East to Egypt, going on from across Libya into Tunisia, Algeria, and all the way over here to Morocco. So North Africa is in here on detail. In taking care of the rest of Africa, whether it may be French Sudan, Algeria, Liberia, these are all handled by basically off-map hexes right here. And then we have other locations, the Belgian Congo, Angola, Boma, and then let's see, what do we got over here? South Africa. This is mainly South Africa, Southwest, Cape Town, Windhoek, Angola. So, and then here's southern Egypt right here. So, and then we have the Sudan hex way down here. So, Africa can be handled off map, and then some of Africa also is handled on the Asian map. So we have the Belgian Congo continued, Rhodesia, Mozambique, and then eastern South Africa over here. So you have a whole lot of areas that weren't really involved in the war too much, but just enough, or the possibility in this game is just enough to where we need to have representation somehow on the map. So that's how they've saved us a lot of space. And this game is perfectly playable like that. You don't need to add the full-size Africa map. Here's Australia right here, and the Solomons and New Guinea, Borneo, stuff like that. So it's perfectly playable without adding the Africa map. But like I said, this game allows different levels of just total off-the-wall stuff. I mean, you could have a full huge campaign or a whole new theater open up in South America or, Central South Africa if, players really start deciding that that's where they needed to be at. So, it's not very likely, but it could happen. And, the Italians were very heavily involved in southeastern Africa, I believe, the Ethiopian area, stuff like that in the beginning of the war. So the French were down there on the other side of Africa. So there is already, involvement down there when the game starts, if you're starting off from like the 38-39 timeline. And so, yeah, it's very interesting. I'm really excited to play this game and get it on the table. I'll probably start off, like I said, I've only played the previous edition before this one twice, but that was at least at full. We used the whole game. There was 4 players playing, and I really got to see how the game mechanics work. So I have a solid understanding of this game, and but I will probably still start off with just like a European war. And keep it simple, just to get back into the swing of things before we jump into a worldwide conflict. But like I said, it's probably going to be about 3 or 4 months before I start getting this to the table and really digging into it. I am going to be putting up some videos on Carriers. This is one of my favorite all-time games of all time. I've done a couple mentions in it previously showed off my original copy in a video I did a long time ago about solitaire wargaming. But the reason, well, I won't get into it too much here. I'm very, very thankful I've upgraded this to modern looks. I mean, I'm really excited to show you guys this and to actually play it. I've been having a lot of fun. This is a game that I've been playing for over 20 years now, I think, at this point. And yeah, I think it's been my copy. I've had it for 22 or 23 years, I believe. So yeah, this is one of my favorite all-time games in the history of war games. I love it. I think you guys are going to have a lot of fun looking at the mechanics and watching the full games get played out. So anyway, guys, that's it. I kind of had to take a break from painting. I did get my painting table a little bit cleaned up, but you can see the rest of the room is an absolute mess. I'm just going through reorganizing everything, trying to get things cleaned up and getting everything, like I said, reorganized and stored in a neat manner. Yeah, so it's been interesting in here, but like I said, I had to take a break from painting. I've been painting so much this last year. I haven't hardly played anything. I think I've played 4 games of Crossfire and a little bit of Blucher, and I think that's all I've painted or all I've played in the last year total. So anyway, guys, thanks for checking it out. I hope you're excited as I am to dive into this game. After my other 2 games, I'm really excited about War and Peace, One Small Step. I'm still waiting for that. I had it on Kickstarter, or actually not Kickstarter. I had it pre-ordered from the website for over, I think, 3 or 4 years now. And then they announced about a year ago that they were going to be doing Kickstarter. I got to tell you, dude, I'm pretty peeved that they sent out the Kickstarters before the pre-orders on the people who pre-ordered directly from them many years before the Kickstarter ever started. I'm pretty ticked about that. And if it didn't look like such a good game, and if it wasn't getting such good compliments online, I would have canceled my order. Anyway, I'm really excited to get that on the table. I just wish it would show up. Take care, guys. Talk to you later. See you later. Stay safe.